Hello and welcome back to another F1 news of the past week. And obviously, at the start, we have to talk about the Singapore Grand Prix. And easier for me will be, we'll start from what's it called, place 20 up to place 1 who've in the finishes. So I can talk about the race and sort of what happened within those, which happened to those people. And if we start with 20th, which I have a list on here, which is Zhou Guangyu or Guangyu Zhou, and he retired because the guy who finished 19th, Nicholas Latifi, drove into him. So they were coming into, I believe it's corner 4 or 5, one right-hander before the first long DRS straight. And what happened there was Latifi basically turned into him, broke that guy's front suspension, so the steering broke, so he had to stop the car. And then Latifi pitted, and then they noticed his suspension was broken, which meant he couldn't drive anymore, which is why he retired. They have Fernando Alonso, 350th race, who retired. But I just remember that the race was delayed by 1 hour due to rain, but that was a bit weird because it was raining, but then it wasn't. Then they delayed it. They didn't want to put on full wets, which I don't fully understand why not. So, yeah, it was just very weird. And then you go to Alexander Albon, who I believe crashed. I don't fully remember, but I don't think he did. I think he did a mistake, because if I think about it, I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't fully a big incident from what I remember. And then Ocon, you had engine problems again with, and the same with Alonso, and then Yuki Tsunoda, I believe, crashed, if I remember correctly. You can type down in the comments if I say it incorrectly. And then you have George Russell in 14th, who had a very bad race generally. He pitted for mediums very early, even though it was wet, and they didn't want to pit him again. Yeah, it was just a bad race for me. Then you have Schumacher, 13th, Kevin Magnussen, 12th, so Haas quite alright results. They moved up, but they were still not very far up. They have Valtteri Bottas in 11th, which is quite alright. Gasly, who finished 10th, which is 1 point, but still not very good. But then you have Lewis Hamilton, who was running 4th, very close to 3rd, then made a big mistake, went into the wall quite quickly, broke his front wing, then had to pit, went down to 7th. No, to 8th it actually was. But then when fighting Sebastian Vettel, who finished 1 place in front of him, 8th, went a bit far onto the wet line and then took a very wide line, which led through Vettel, and the guy finished 7th. Verstappen, who started 8th, then I think, he was on the intermediates, he was running around there. Then he got a puncture, which meant he had to pit, and then, no, he pitted first for mediums, got the puncture, pitted for softs, and went up to 7th, but couldn't overtake a person in 6th, Lance Stroll. So the Aston Martins did a very good job, and they have even better job with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, who finished 5th and 4th respectively. Very interesting. They have Carlos Sainz in 3rd and Charles Leclerc in 2nd, which is quite decent for Ferrari. They didn't screw things over. But then you have Perez in 1st, who's really good, and I believe he has won all the main street races this year. He has won in Singapore, he has won in Monaco, and he has won in Baku. So if there are other street races, he can win them, except Melbourne, which is technically a street race. Well, we don't talk about that, but also, if we check the standings, if they've updated on the F1 app, is Charles Verstappen obviously is leading by 100 points roughly, then Perez is only 2 points behind Leclerc, and then Russell is 1 point in front of Sainz, and then Lewis Hamilton is 32 points behind Sainz. So it's not very close down. Then if we go into the constructors, Mercedes have lost out quite a bit. on the Ferraris, but hopefully they'll come closer. And that's all I have to speak about Singapore. And now we go into other news which happened during the week before that. So we have Zhou Guanyu, as I stated. He will be driving for Alfa Romeo in 2023, which I believe is good. But if they had put in Theo Porsche, maybe it would have been also good. But I think they're waiting with him a little bit. Then the FIA, obviously, who a lot of people criticize, me including, but that's quite obvious because I'm a Mercedes fan and everybody thinks Mercedes fans only speak badly about the FIA, which is mainly Twitter, but I have a few disagreements with the FIA. And this is one of the ones. 6 sprint races in 2023. Nobody asked for it. They say in the article on the F1's website about it, they say, fans were really positive about the sprint races. But if you read about it and people's opinions on it, it isn't. A lot of people, don't like it. And so yeah, I fully disagree with that. I can't find the article now, but you can read it for yourself. It's on their website. And then Mercedes and Petronas have written a sponsorship deal which will go surpass, I believe it was 2026, which is very interesting. And in that, I just read about Hamilton. He escapes a penalty for wearing jewelry as Mercedes fined 25,000 euros for self-scrutinying form error. So I don't know fully what that's about, but you'll have to read into it. It's on the F1 app or the F1 website. And something which is more not distressing but bad news is the W series, the female series. I think it's basically a female equivalent for Formula 3, basically. And they might go bankrupt before the end of the season. Hopefully they don't, and hopefully they keep on going, because I think it's a really good thing. I watched the W race in Silverstone. Jamie Chadwick was dominating that race, which might be a show that she's very good. Well, it definitely shows, because they have interesting rules which make it more even. So I would say she's a really good female driver and a really good driver in all. We shouldn't think of genders. We should just think of pure pace. So yeah, and I hope it doesn't go bankrupt, because it shows, like Jamie Chadwick and other drivers, how good they really are. But then we come into something to also do with money. You have Aston Martin race, reportedly I should say, all of this is allegedly, this topic, and that is Aston Martin Racing and Red Bull Racing have apparently, allegedly exceeded the budget gap. And from what I saw on Tomo F1's web video, which is a really good video to watch on this topic, was that Aston Martin Racing had less than 5% exceeded and Red Bull Racing more than 5%. And if you have less, it's mainly just a fine and some minor things. And I believe it was like roughly $7 million then, less than 7 million. And if Red Bull Racing exceeded it allegedly by over 5%, which is more than $7 million. And according to to Mercedes and Ferrari, that's more. With $7 million, you can have 70 staff for the whole year. And also, I think Ferrari said maybe like half a second, which I think is bonkers. That amount of money gives that amount of pace difference, but it gives a difference. So the FIA will report on who didn't exceed the budget cap and who did and how much. And I'll talk about that later if anybody has done it, because think about the penalties now in area which people think they have done something bad when they haven't. So everything is alleged. If something comes out to be true, I'll talk more about it next Monday. And we have The two last news are a bit contract news. You have De Vries, who reportedly actually will join Alcantara, which will probably mean Pierre Gasly going to Alpine, and we'll see what happens there. Everything is, all these news, they don't come out with a lot of info, so that's all I'm telling you. And Ricciardo obviously has lost his seat for next year. If he can't find a seat, he'll probably, pick up the Mercedes reserve driver, because he was seen at the Mercedes motorhome, or how you want to say it, hospitality, during Singapore. So we'll see what happens there. And all of this, in my opinion, is a bit muddy waters, because you don't know what will happen, but multiple sources have stated publicly, not just to me, that all of these they believe is true. But I think over the next week, look more into the budget cap rules and into the contracts. Don't think a lot of contracts might come out, maybe, because I think Will Buxton said during the race that there will be reported during the Japanese Grand Prix. I'll come with you on the Monday after the Japanese Grand Prix, which is this week as of uploading this. But everything, we'll see what happens next. And now, before we go, my next video, which is tomorrow as of uploading this, will be on another Reddit Reacts, which was a while ago I did one. So we see if you still love that series. Otherwise, I don't know what will happen. But there will come more Reddit Reacts now as the races go. And just to inform you about, no, I don't have anything other reasonable news about the channel, except that you should subscribe. But until my next video, until then, I've been Racing Legend. You be my miservious. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.